Welcome to a Legendarium series about the merry history of Christmas. In part 1, we will talk about the holiday's origins among northern pagans and Roman festivals. Christmas is celebrated on December 25th and is both a sacred holiday and a worldwide cultural phenomenon. For 2,000 years, people around the world have observed it with traditions and practices both religious and secular in nature. Christians celebrate Christmas Day as the birthday of Jesus of Nazareth, a spiritual leader whose teachings form the basis of their faith. Popular customs include exchanging gifts, decorating Christmas trees, attending church, and sharing meals with family and friends. Of course, centuries before the life of Christ, early Europeans celebrated light and birth in the darkest days of winter. Many nations rejoiced during the winter solstice, when the worst of winter ended and people could look forward to longer days and more sunlight. In Scandinavia, the Norse celebrated Yule from December 21st, the winter solstice, through January. In recognition of the sun's return, fathers and sons led parties of men into the freezing forest. They chopped down a great oak tree and then cut off its branches. It took 12 men to push home a log that weighed several tons. Once they brought it into their homes, the people lit it on fire and then feasted and drank until the log burned out, which could take as many as 12 days. The Norse believed that each spark from the fire represented a new pig or calf that would be born during the coming year. Our tradition of Christmas trees likely goes back to these northern pagans who also decorated their houses with evergreens during the winter solstice. This greenery in the midst of darkness and cold showed that spring would always return. In Germany and Scandinavia, people honored the pagan god Odin during the midwinter holiday as well. Germans truly feared Odin, as they believed he made nighttime flights through the sky in order to observe those who worshipped him. He then decided who would prosper and who would perish. Because of his presence, many people chose to stay inside and thus stay out of trouble. It is not a coincidence that the end of December also served as a perfect time for celebration across northern Europe. At that time of the year, farmers slaughtered most of their livestock so they would not have to be fed during the winter, keeping only their prized breeding stock. For many, winter became the only time of the year when they enjoyed a supply of fresh meat. Additionally, most wine and beer made during the year finally fermented and became ready for drinking. In Rome, where winters tended to be milder, the people celebrated Saturnalia in honor of Saturn, the god of agriculture. Beginning in the week leading up to the winter solstice, the Romans enjoyed food and drink. Businesses and schools closed so that everyone could participate in the festivities. The normal Roman social order turned upside down. For a month, slaves received temporary freedom and their masters waited upon them for a change. Of course, a few people still had to work cleaning vomit off the floor after the guests' drinking binges. Around the time of the winter solstice, the Romans also observed Juvenalia, a feast honoring the children of Rome. Additionally, the Roman upper class celebrated the birthday of Mithra, god of the unconquerable sun, on December 25th. Despite their small numbers, the wealth and power of this aristocratic cult gave them outsized influence upon their countrymen. Devotees believed that Mithra, an infant god, was born of a rock and that shepherds gathered around to worship him. This story has unmistakable parallels to the Nativity. For some Romans, Mithra's birthday ranked as the most sacred day of the year. Yet Roman faith in the Roman world would be changed profoundly by a new faith rising in the East. During the early years of Christianity, Easter served as the main holiday, and most Christians did not celebrate the birth of Jesus. Unfortunately, the Bible does not mention Jesus' birthday, a fact that Puritans later pointed out to justify a ban on Christmas. Some evidence suggests that Christ's birth may have occurred in the spring, for why would shepherds be herding in the middle of winter? In the 4th century, church officials decided to institute the birth of Jesus as a holiday. Pope Julius I chose December 25th, likely to adopt and absorb the traditions of the pagan Saturnalia festival and the birth of Mithra. First called the Feast of the Nativity, the custom spread to Roman Egypt by 432 AD and to Anglo-Saxon England by 600 AD. By holding Christmas at the same time as traditional winter solstice festivals, church leaders eased people into Christian worship. Holly wreaths used by northern pagans became Christianized as well, with the church declaring them memorials to Christ's crown of thorns. Churchmen even convinced some northerners to turn their holiday trees upside down to form a triangle that symbolized the Holy Trinity. During the 8th century, Christmas had its first new addition. Italian tradition included a witch by the name of La Befana. Following the star to Bethlehem, the 3 wise men spent a night in the witch's home. Having enjoyed her hospitality, the 3 wise men invited her to join them on their journey, but she declined, saying that she had to clean house. After their departure, though, she changed her mind and set out on her own, with a basket of gifts for the baby Jesus. On January 6th, the day of the Epiphany, the 3 wise men found the Christ child, but La Befana failed to do so. Ever since, on the eve of the Epiphany, she sets forth again, seeking the Christ child in every house she passes and offering treats to good children and lumps of coal to naughty ones. That wraps things up for this episode of The Legendarium. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, press like. If you want to see more, press subscribe. And if you've got anything to say, let me know in the comments section. Thanks again for joining me, and I hope that you have a great rest of the day.